hop into the top 5 plays of the Valorant First Strike Open Qualifiers. Kicking things off with the top 5 spot is NRG's EU and his insane reaction time on this 4K flick against Kudos. Starting from the perspective of Kudos Teddy, who just barely stops the spike plant for NRG, with them having to scramble with seconds remaining. 3 players for Kudos rotating to a site from the back end. EU clearing out heaven, switching onto the site, getting the second player. Here's one up and behind him, gets the turnaround and the 4th flick to wrap up the 4K with 4 straight headshots. Talk about high sense. And I don't just mean his sensitivity. Looking at the Twitch chat reaction says it all. That is exactly how we all feel seeing an insane shot like that to kick off this top 5 list. Taking a quick peek at the stats for that map, a strong 23-16, and helping push his team forward to a 2-1 victory in the series. Taking the number 4 spot is Fiend from Moon Raccoons in his 1v4 clutch versus 100 Thieves. And we're actually starting this clip from the perspective of 100 Thieves Nitro, who nearly gets an entire squad wipe on Moon Raccoons in front of Teleporter at A, and leaving Fiend, unfortunately, with the spike down in a 1v4 disadvantage. So just pretty much suspecting there's going to be a push now coming from the back side of A towards spawn. He has his sights set on catching somebody through the doorway. Here's the alarm bot come across site to flush him out, so he takes the opportunity to swing on the jet through the doorway, pops the dismiss, but does not get away in time as the shots through the wall by Asuna get him down to 12 HP in a 1v3 scenario. He doesn't see any eyes on the spike, so he takes that small window of opportunity to go through the teleporter and buy himself some time. Full armor and health, Hiko on the site, gets taken out by Fiend, who pops the Devour, gets back to full health, and plants the spike to hold down that B site and await the retake. Already suspecting there's going to be a player coming on that back site, he holds the angle while hearing the spam shots coming from Hookah, so he already has information for one player. He still holds that angle, suspecting the second, and he gets the headshot through the doorway, pops the dismiss to survive the shots through the wall down to a 1v1. Both players pull out their sidearms, and Fiend wraps up the 1v4 with a jumping headshot. Unreal. And if we go back and take a look at this highlight, Fiend down to 12 HP in the 1v3 scenario. Hiko still holds the B site, does not fully commit to wrapping towards A. Instead of holding that doorway that he continued to hold, where he could have held Fiend in hookah area with his low HP from that angle, he ends up rotating, getting a different angle on the actual site itself, moving too far forward, giving Fiend the opportunity to absorb that soul orb, get back to full health, and take this highlight. Which leads to the number 3 spot, 100 Thieves Hiko pulling off a 1v4 clutch in overtime. Now, this was just the first map of this wild series, with this game getting forced to overtime from an insane spray by Nitro to get them here in the first place. And this ends up leading to an amazing clutch here from Hiko's 2 rounds later in overtime. Yes, this highlight starts off yet again with 100 Thieves Nitro with the beautiful setups, using his smoke to clear out the garage as 100 Thieves make a play for B, but is swiftly taken down as he takes out the enemy recon bolt on the C site. Now, once garage gets cleared, Sova rotates through garage from the C connector and confirms there's no other players before pushing through the window and heading towards B. Now, Moon Raccoons fully cover the B site, looking to set up for the post plant, and at the exact same time Sova goes through the window in garage, Hiko actually turns around from the push-up middle and takes the flank through the garage door. And with the B site completely clear, Hiko and his teammates already know there's going to be a Sova on the C side with a Cypher near the window due to the previous engagement from 100 Thieves Nitro. And they already have the information from right in the beginning of the round after Steel was taken out trying to pick up some early information towards A. Right after the exchange on B, Hiko making the sneaky play through window, getting the double kill, spotting the Reyna across site, moving towards Spike, and picking up the triple kill in the process. Stays calm and collected, rotating around the site, eats enough of the time up to force the defuse, but also while he rotates, creates enough of the distance he needs to unleash the Hunter's Fury safely on the Spike and seal the round with an amazingly timed clutch. Our beautiful man Hiko, everybody's favorite boomer, wrapping up that Haven map with 23 kills and 17 deaths. As I said earlier, this series was completely out of control, with our number 2 spot going to Aleksandar of Moon Raccoons, pulling off a 1v3 clutch in overtime on map 3. On Phoenix, and scoping out Steel with the fake out attempt with the lockdown on A, as 100 Thieves makes their attempt for a B push. Aleksandar can't rotate fast enough and is stuck in a 1v3 scenario. Gets the headshot but can't get the kill with the full shields. And hearing the spike go down, gets the first kill, seeing where the paranoia comes from, knowing exactly where Nitro's gonna be. Down to the 1v1, he taps the spike after putting up the blaze wall to bait the low health Jet out to get killed for the 4K and the defuse to force double overtime. Going back to look at how Aleksandar handled that 1v3 scenario, as he pushed onto the site, he heard the spike getting planted, which means that he knew one of those 3 players were not going to be looking to engage him on this first peek attempt. Catches the Jet with the headshot on the first peek attempt, cannot wrap up the kill after he sees the spike go down in front of him, takes out the Raze across the site, leaving him in a 2v1 situation. Now, as Aleksandar steps forward towards the spike here, he only has a slight idea of exactly where that person that planted the spike is going to be. And he already knows that the Jet had retreated around the corner with the low HP, so he tucks himself in this corner next to the boxes looking for that angle. And right away gets the information he needs from Nitro by sidestepping the paranoia and keeps his eyes exactly where it came from, setting up that second kill. Then to wrap it up, throwing that blaze wall, perfectly cutting off the Jet with almost no health, an easy win for the Moon Raccoons. Or at least making it look easy, as we look at the stats for Aleksandar on that map, wrapping it up with a 302 average combat score. A phenomenal effort and an even greater series. And our number 1 spot for the top 5 plays for the VALORANT First Strike Open Qualifiers, I couldn't decide. Sorry. Honestly, there were just too many good plays from the Cloud9 versus TSM series in the semifinals that you guys would have just got mad at me if I picked one. So I just decided to pick my top 5 from that whole series and cram them all into the number 1 spot. I guess it's a top 9 plays of the week instead of a top 5, technically. I guess. I'm sorry, I don't know. But either way, let's just jump into the top 5 plays of the semifinals between Cloud9 and TSM.
Hey man.
What?
I just wanted to make sure, are we really doing a top plays video from an event with 128 teams and only showing clips from 2 different series? Is that what we're doing? I just wanted to make sure.
All right, look, man, I already had to scrap this video twice because I missed my upload window from past events. Now you're giving me crap that, all the events, they're only from 2 series. Like, what do you want me to do? How do you expect me to keep up with this?
I don't know. You know what they always say, man. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, but I guess you know now.
Don't say it.
Baby.
So, our number 5 spot for this series is going to Shinobi with his big brain Omen fake out teleporter play on map 2. We start on the post plant with Shinobi hiding in U-Haul, sends the paranoia after hearing the recon bolt come from that backside of A, calls the teleporter, gets the light information, but cancels the teleporter just as Sabrosa finishes checking the corner, leaving the door open for a huge surprise double kill. You really could not have timed that any better. Taking the number 4 spot of the series is Drone's 1v4 clutch on map 3. We start off this clip naturally with Drone in the 1v4 scenario on the attacking side of Split. You know, everyone's favorite. Standing his ground on the post plant and lining up not just 1, not just 2, but 3 headshots, lining him up right in the doorway, leaving him into a 1v1 scenario, He backs up through the doorway, and here's the attempt on the defusal. Uses the aftershock to force Relics to play right into his hands on the peak. And shooting the corpse just because you can't be too careful. The number 3 spot goes to Vice on Cloud9 with his sick Recon Bolt wallbang save on map 2. That's a mouthful, I know, but there are so many underrated plays that deserve praise from this event, and this is definitely one of them. With Vice on Cloud9 opening this map with an ace in the eco round, fast forward now to double overtime, and Vice is on the post plant. He's completely out of position to stop the defuse, or is he? Holding his recon bolt and fires it just as he spots the enemy jet. The perfect shot across the site reveals both players simultaneously, and he lines up both wallbang shots to force the second map of this series into a triple overtime. The number 2 spot goes to TSM Hazed for his heart-stopping 1v2 clutch on match point against 2 players with ultimates. TSM down 12-8, Hazed has to stay alive to keep TSM in this game. The first ultimate goes down with Killjoy's lockdown placed directly on the spike. It's only gonna leave Hazed with a brief moment to push. Maybe Killjoy could have saved that ult just a few seconds later. And just as the lockdown runs out, Hazed moves forward and catches Killjoy on the peak, leaving him in a 1v1 scenario. Hazed hears Raze pull out that rocket launcher, aka the showstopper. Relics fires the rocket in the back of a site, just barely missing Hazed, down to low HP, in panic mode. Hazed pushes forward aggressively, gets the kill, and the defusal with only 3 seconds remaining on the clock. We have got to look at the chat reaction from that one. Against all odds, steamrolling forward past the showstopper, and with almost no health remaining, getting that 2v1 solidified in his favor and keeping TSM alive in this game. And finally, the number 1 play from the VALORANT First Strike North American Open Qualifiers goes to the number 1 ranked player in North America, Cloud9 TenZ. The absolute speed of TenZ Jet just goes unmatched time and time again. Down to 30 HP after the opening headshot with his daggers on Wardell in mid-air, as we can see from this perspective of Sabrosa. Sabrosa spams across the site looking for one of the last 2 remaining, and TenZ catches him on the peak. Now suddenly down to a 2v1, the ult at the ready, the op in his back pocket. He avoids the recon bolt's line of sight, and even though Color holds that angle like a statue, TenZ is just too fast with the Blade Storm. Strafes over top of the spike with the op to cover the door, backs up as far as he can to ensure he gets the best possible angle on the peak, and wraps up the round and this countdown with a beautiful 4-kill clip. Big congratulations goes out to TenZ, Vice, Shinobi, Relics, Mitch, and can't forget about their coach, Shu, as they take victory here at the First Strike North American Open Qualifiers. Leave your thoughts and comments down below if you haven't already, and let me know if there's anything I can do to improve on this series moving ahead. And if you want to stay up to date with everything in the VALORANT esports scene, click the subscribe button down below. I'm Trooper, your esports caster and tour guide, and you stay beautiful.